Welcome to the podcast.
All right.
Pilates for PTs, from business to clinical. Hi y'all, my name is Stephen Dunn. I co-own Core Therapy and Pilates in Austin, Texas, and I'm the founder of Pilates for PTs. I've been a physical therapist for over 20 years, and I've been teaching Pilates and gyrotonic in my physical therapy practice for the last 15 years. In this podcast, I interview experts from all over the world so that you can learn more on how to grow your business or how to improve your clinical skills as a Pilates instructor in the physical therapy world. Thanks for listening. All right, hey guys, welcome. It's Stephen Dunn. I'm Stephen Dunn with Core Therapy and Pilates. I'm the founder of Pilates for PTs. I have my wife in here with me to start the podcast. This is Cheryl.
Hi.
And we have our guest for today, Miss Patricia. And Patricia is in from Bahrain. And Patricia, say your last name because we can't say it.
Kabalawi.
There we go. Now, with that said, I want to have Cheryl kind of do a little introduction and kind of how we all got to know each other. And then after that, Cheryl's got to take off to do some teaching. And then we're going to, Patricia and I are going to go through a little interview, and we're going to talk about her studio in Bahrain, her multiple studios there, and how she runs her business, and a little bit about her BASI education and the teacher training program. So with that said, Cheryl, tell the story of how we all met.
So I was doing a gyrotonic teacher training, and I'd get this email that this girl from the Middle East wants to come to Austin, Texas to do her training. Which I thought, okay, this is a little shady. You know, you get those random emails, send money. So that's what I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So this is the date, this is the time. Just send me your check for your deposit. No check, but I get the email, she's going to be there, and I thought, okay, let's just see. I'll put it on the schedule. The time and the day comes, and lo and behold, I go out into my lobby, and there's Patricia. I'm like, whoa, you're here. I said, so tell me, what's your experience with gyrotonic? Because, you know, most people don't sign up for a gyrotonic teacher training unless they kind of know what they're getting into. Well, her experience was watching Stephen on YouTube. So I was
Put
like,
yourself out there. Put yourself out there. YouTube.
I was a little worried. I was like, oh no, this is all she knows.
You're learning from the wrong person. You're learning from me,
But I was truly blessed to find out that she had many years experience in movement and dancing and Pilates. So she was very easy to teach and is an amazing teacher and has been just such a joy to come into our lives.
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
We've got to know Patricia and her family really well, and we are really blessed. And you guys are going to be very thrilled to hear everything about her and what she does and how she runs her studios. And yeah, it's exciting. So y'all enjoy.
All right. Thanks for hopping in, Cheryl. Whoa! Cheryl just fell. Like, literally, she's on the ground.
Oh, she's fine.
Dudley tripped her. Dudley was sitting right behind us. Yeah. That was a good one, Dud. All right. See you, Cheryl. So it was very interesting how someone, just from me putting a YouTube video out like 8 years ago, and it was not a good video. It's not, I mean, it was just me trying to demonstrate what the heck gyrotonic was, because I know people don't know what it is. And from that YouTube video, all of a sudden, someone all the way from the Middle East ends up in our studio. Now, with that said, you have some ties to Austin. It wasn't.
Yes.
It's not like you just were here for the training.
No.
Both your daughters go to UT.
Both my
correct?
daughter goes UT. Fetty graduated from here. We
Her
have
husband.
a home here
Gotcha.
next to yours.
Yeah, she lives. They have a home really close to our home, so she's here frequently.
Yes, I mean here. So I was bringing my first daughter to UT, and I was trying to get into gyrotonic. So I researched in Bahrain, and I'm like, oh, this place is right there. Oh, look at the videos. Oh, this is I want to do gyrotonic.
I love it. And so all of a sudden, we've created a new lifelong friendship with someone in the Middle East who, I believe you're the first gyrotonic studio in the Middle East. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, I know this is not about gyrotonic, it's about Pilates. So let's talk a little bit about Pilates. Now, how did you get interested in Pilates in the first place?
So, I came from a dance background.
Mm-hmm.
So I was teaching. First time I got in contact with Pilates in 2000. I came for certifications called AFA for like I was teaching like aerobics, I think because I graduated from physical education. So I was teaching in Saudi Arabia at that time. And I said, I need to do something different. So when I came for the certification, they told me about Pilates. At that time, they said, "Oh, you can't call Pilates." It was a lawsuit about it. Like,
the trademark lawsuit was on. Yeah.
So I said, okay. So I did the mat course, and I went back to Saudi, and I was teaching Pilates. Nobody knew what was it.
Yeah.
And so then I moved to Bahrain in 2004, and I was teaching Pilates still and dance and some group exercise. And then I said, I want to know more about it. And then I knew to find out about the machines, I think. So I searched and I said, I want to do the teacher training. And then I said, what's the closest place for me to come all the way to the States? And I had 3 small kids. So I found it I found BASI in Athens, in Greece.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I went for the training.
And this was on 2004?
2004 I was in Bahrain. This was 2008.
Okay.
So I went for the training and I just fell in love. I said, this is, so much, there's so much of the basic, the principles of dance and, the rehabilitation. And, I just love the movement. I fell in love. I said, this is what I want to do. So I went on and on. And then went BASI. I met the founder, Rayo Zakovic, and he's just an amazing inspiration. So I follow him around, and I said, I want to belong to this, family.
Yeah,
and
the tribe.
I want to be in this tribe. So I went to all the courses. I went to the Passing the Torch. It was the mentorship course, and then master course. And I just finished in the honor course now, which is the last one he came up, which is like a combination of all of them. This is the top of the legacy program. So very proud of that, and became faculty in 2015. So I started teaching. I teach the first course in Bahrain, and then Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Turkey. So it's been a wonderful experience, a wonderful ride.
And brought you all over the place.
And brought me all over the place, yes.
I love that because BASI is an organization I don't know as much about. And one of the big questions that I get from physical therapists is, where do I get certified? And I know more about Balanced Bodies program. I know the whole PMA structure, but I don't know a whole lot about BASI. So with BASI, it's international. It's around the whole world, right? You can get training pretty much anywhere.
Yes, you can get. We are very broad, worldwide. And if you're in the States, there's many places you can go. The headquarters is in Newport Beach, in California.
Okay.
And the founders, Rayo Zakovic, and we have a great faculty members, very inspiring. What I love is the family atmosphere that we have.
Yeah.
And, that I can go anywhere in the world, and you're a BASI instructor. We immediately we're family.
Yeah.
And there's we're everywhere. So just look for us.
I love it. And with their training programs, do you have to stay in the same place? Like, did you have to stay in Athens to do your whole training, or could you do parts of it in Athens and parts of it in different places? How does that work?
That's a very good question. A lot of people ask that. No, I did my whole course in Athens because just for a geographical reason.
Gotcha.
But you can do that. I had people that came to Bahrain and then they moved. Bahrain is very rotatory, place that people move a lot. So they came, did like the first modules with me, and then they moved to Australia or
do something
Europe or back to the
States.
And
everything builds into the same program.
It's the same program, so they can.
And the reason I ask that is because I think physical therapists, some of them might be geographically located where they don't have good access. And so they might have to travel. Yeah. But maybe they travel to some place and then they find a teacher that actually is teaching over here in a different place, but they've already started here. Right. It sounds like if they can pick and choose based on, and as PTs, we're used to, for continuing education, we're used to looking, and sometimes we have to travel to take those courses. So we are used to traveling for it. But I know that's one of the biggest questions I get is helping people understand how to go get certified, where to get certified, because it's a lot of information out there, and it's fairly overwhelming to try to find your
Absolutely.
right tribe, right? What tribe are you going to go into with your program?
There's a lot of things I think in it, like geographically, and then you want, like in BASI, we have the whole program. You know, you would get from beginners to advanced, and you would have you will learn all the equipment. So you know, it's very complex, but when you get out, you feel like you have the right tools to, you know, to really go on and teach.
Would you say it's more classical or authentic, or is it a little more contemporary, or is it a kind of a combination of the two?
I would say it's more contemporary.
Okay, and that's kind of what I thought, but again, that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And I was trained in contemporary. My buddy Andy, who's watching now, he's a physical therapist in New York who's going through a classical program in New York City. And I always talk about kind of the differences between them and how the classical world is presented with their material and how the contemporary world presents its material. So I just wanted to ask that question because I thought that, but I wanted to make sure. And is it the scenario where you go through the teacher training program and you get trained through BASI, and then they recommend or require you to take the PMA, or are they not too involved with the PMA?
I think they always, you know, they recommend
you to do it,
but you know, it's not a requirement for BASI graduates to take.
Yeah, so you can have your BASI training that you've completed, and is that something if they take the PMA, they need to complete the BASI training first to then get the paperwork to go sit for the PMA?
Yes, you would need to get your certification
to then sit.
Sit to the PMA.
Got it. All right, I love it. So I know those are some things that I didn't know much about that I wanted to ask you about from the BASI world. Now let me ask you a little bit about business, because you know this podcast is about Pilates, of course, but I always want to know what led people to become a Pilates instructor. But what led you to open your own business and start a studio? And then I'll start asking some more questions about that, depending on your answers.
So, so I did my course and went, you know, back to Bahrain, and there was no machines, there was nothing. So, I had to, you know, to bring my own machine. So I said, you know, and beginning I didn't think about much teaching, you know, so many, like open a studio or it is. I was just, I just love it. So I said, I'll do it.
I want to share it.
I want to share it. So I taught my husband. So now he's a, you know, fanatic.
I love it.
And I start, you know, practicing and have my little studio at home. And you know, because I was teaching in the studio at that time, math, and people knew that I was doing the certification, so they start asking, "Oh, you're teaching at home? You have the machines?" And so it started. I said, "Yeah. Why not? You know, after like 6 months, I was like fully booked. I was teaching like 8 hours a day. So you know, and I was realizing that a lot of people was really, you know, needed, and they got much better with their posture. And my husband with his back, you know, I think we saw so many difference that makes so much difference in so many people's lives. Yeah. So actually, my husband's the one who pushed me. Mm-hmm. Fadi, he pushed me to open the studio. It was he kind of played a trick on me. Like, we went to this, there's a place where my studio is now close by, and there it's like they closed like a compound and became all like commercial. And because he has his, you know, company, his construction company, so I said, you know, this is a good place for you to open your, you know, office, because he had a little office in the house too. I'm like, you know,
you wanted him out of the house.
Let's get rid of this. So he went to check. He came back, said, yeah, I got the place. I'm like, oh, that's good. So you can take it. He said, no, it's for you. We're going to open a studio. I'm like, oh my God, I can't. It's only me, you know. And so he was like crazy, you know. So I was like going crazy. But, you know, it worked out. And, you know, we've been open for 8 years. And we've served the community well. And I think we got a name because we are, you know, people can trust us. Yeah. I have also 4 physiotherapists working with us. There are Pilates, and 3 are Pilates physiotherapists, and 1 is physical education, physiotherapist, fitness. Everybody's certified, so I make sure everybody has you know, certification. And most of the Brazilians I have with me, they all physical education or physiotherapy graduated. Got it. So you know, it was organically, you know, grown. So you know, I think Bahrain now has Equilibrium is well known in Bahrain for our quality and for our standards and for our family atmosphere.
The culture.
The culture.
Yeah. Now let me ask you about the physical therapists that work with you. When they work for you, are they doing physical therapy or are they teaching Pilates? Is there a difference in y'all's mind with what's going on? Like, because I'm a PT and I work in my room doing PT and I introduce people to Pilates, and then once I introduce it to them, I then move them over to work with my trainers because it saves them money to see a trainer versus pay me for my PT rate. So how does that work out with your PTs?
So work with our PTs. We're not a physical therapy clinic.
Yeah.
So we're not a
so
clinic.
So it's a fitness. It's all fitness.
It's all fitness. So we got a lot of referrals from doctors or even PTs. Yeah. So our goal is prevention, and our goal is the pause rehab with the PTs. But having a PT in your rehabilitation, Pilates PT, I think helps a lot because the communication with their PT that brought them to be functional,
or the doctor
who they are functional,
they can communicate very well.
They can communicate very well. And go, the transition goes very smooth with them, and it's the best for the clients.
Yeah.
They get the advantage of having that communication and that knowledge, and knowing they're in good hands. Then they're not going to get hurt. They have a PT. He's a Pilates instructor, but his background
is PT.
It's PT. Yeah. So he would know the restrictions. He can read the MRIs and the X-rays, from the doctor. So it's an enormous advantage.
Yeah, and this is a situation where, because it's fitness, you're not dealing with any insurance. It's all cash based. Yeah. Is it a scenario where the PTs will start with a person and then move them over like into classes? Or?
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, gotcha. That's our goal. The PTs want them, get them whatever they were before. If they were athletes, they were, like we had many cases that people came, with in their wheelchair and, and now they're doing in a fitness class, they're in advanced Pilates, and, it's wonderful, to see people, they are very grateful, I think.
I love it.
And we are so blessed to have them.
And then, as far as your second location, you've opened a second location since this first location. Tell me a little bit about it. And it's a little different as far as how it's set up.
Right.
Correct?
So, second location is called Amouage. It's an island. It's a beautiful man-made island in Bahrain. The studio is like facing the ocean, so it's absolutely gorgeous. So it's a smaller studio, so we focus more in the group classes, though we just add now a private room. So there are some privates. There are some privates.
But it's mostly groups.
We also mix with some fitness classes.
That aren't Pilates based.
They're on Pilates based. There is mats and there is different strength, and we also have stretch classes. So it's a little bit different than our headquarters.
How close is the headquarters and the second location? Is it pretty close?
It's about 40 minutes away.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I wasn't sure how close it was.
It's a little bit far.
So pulling from different markets and different people.
Markets, different people.
Okay. Yeah. Now, with the two studios, then, and one's the group oriented and one's more kind of private oriented, but pushes people into group. So one does both. And one does more group, it sounds. Do you run them the same, like, payment wise? Do people pay per class? Do people pay per month? Do people pay like what's is it a membership type of setup? What's the difference in the pay structures between the two clinics or the two studios?
So in the SAR, which is our headquarters, it's we have a group like class 5 classes, 10 classes, 20 classes. We have that scheme, and we just recently add the monthly payment.
So that's new for y'all.
So that's new for this branch.
And is that monthly for just group classes or monthly for privates?
For privates as well.
All right. See, that's something we haven't gone to for privates that I'd like to ask some more about. So keep going. Excuse me.
Yeah. So we just add that, and we have single classes also. People can pay for single classes. We also have, because we have different pay schemes for like. Classes with me, for example, and with the other instructors, so they can do either a combination or they can do, they come with me, or they have different packages.
Got it.
In Amouage, it's monthly based, except for the privates.
Which is new.
This is new that we're going to introduce. We just introduced now.
And that might become a monthly membership as well.
It would become maybe a monthly membership. But we introduced Amouage as monthly memberships.
And is that monthly memberships on the equipment, on reformers? Is
Both.
that correct? So
both. And they can do combination also.
Got it. And is there a certain number of times they can come per week? Do they pay like a different price structure to become unlimited versus once a week or twice a week or whatnot? How's that set up?
Yes, we have they can choose once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week.
Gotcha.
Yeah, or a single class.
Gotcha. That's the way we have it set up.
Yeah.
Once we did unlimited for a while, but it got too complicated to keep track of.
It's very difficult.
The financial piece of it is very hard to track and see if it's what's working or not working.
Yes,
so
we didn't get to that yet. But that's
we just stopped the unlimited. We had it for a while and we stopped it. And we for many years never had anything other than pay per class or a 10-pack or 5 packs, and then we switched to the monthly memberships about 2 years ago, where for classes, the group classes, and so someone could come in once a week, twice a week, or unlimited. And we took away the unlimited about a year ago, and we had a few people that were still on it because we kind of let them stay on it. But it's we found that the monthly memberships for the group classes were great because it ended up bringing in about like 70% of our rent. Was come in, boom,
steady income.
Every regardless if they came or not. So I like that part of it. Now I've heard a lot recently from different people about charging memberships for even PT services or private services, and that's something that I've not really understood or thought much about, but I've been hearing it. So I'd love to know more a little bit about your private memberships. Is that a monthly membership that they pay, and they the same thing, get 1 private a week, 2 privates a week, 3 privates a week, depending on that pay structure?
Yes, the monthly membership is exactly that. They can choose once a week, twice a week. But what happened in Bahrain, our clients travel a lot. So we give them the option, if the monthly membership is somebody that's steady there all the time, because either they use or not use.
It doesn't make sense for someone to be gone.
We're a little bit flexible with the days, but the month is finished, it's gone.
You're done.
So people that travel a lot, they still in the 5-10 pack of classes,
which isn't as good of a price, but they're not paying for classes they're not using.
Yeah, they have like 4 months, so it depends on their package, up to 6 months.
So you kind of give them the choice based on their schedule, their travel, and whatnot.
Yes.
Do you find that you have a higher percentage of people paying memberships or a higher percentage of people paying individually or in packs?
Because it's new, the monthly memberships, at this point, we have more on the packs. Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to...
We'll see how that,
you'll see how that goes. Yeah.
And that's a scenario where with pricing, how are you coming up with your pricing? You don't have to tell me your pricing, but if you're charging a certain amount for a private and you're giving a little discount for 5 or 10 packs, what kind of discount are you giving for the memberships? Is it a significantly better price for the 3 times a week people versus the twice a week or the 1 times a week?
I think so. I think it's a very good deal for them. The more classes they do it, they have a better deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you pay your instructors differently depending on how the clients are paying, or do your instructors get paid a certain fee or a set percentage? Or
they have a set percentage, regardless of the package. They have a set percentage.
Got it. So so depending on what that person's paying will depend on what they're going to get paid.
Exactly.
So does that make payroll a little complicated?
Yeah, it can be complicated. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But mind and body, I think, helps you kind of have a little setup. I'm not so much, I don't have much knowledge of it, but
I don't do that at all. So that's something that Cheryl does, so I wouldn't know anything about it. But and the reason I ask is because we do it pretty. We have a consistent pay for whatever trainers make, and because Cheryl didn't want to deal with the headaches of the percentages and the different percentages. So let's say, like for us, we charge $87 for someone to do a private, and if they do that private, well, that's the fee, and then our trainers, they're going to get their regular fee, their like agreed on fee, regardless if they're paying $87. But let's say they're paying for a 5-pack, that $87 goes down to about $83. $82.
Okay.
And if they're paying for a 10-pack, that $87 goes down to about, I think, $77. So they get a $10 discount to buy a 10-pack,
Right.
but we still pay our trainers the same regardless if they're whatever they're paying.
Yeah.
And then we only have it set up for the classes with our memberships. And the way our trainers get paid for classes, it's like the first person that comes in, they get paid basically what that person's paying.
Okay.
And so, but then if the second person gets in, it's like an extra $5. And Cheryl would know this numbers better than me, but I think it's an extra $5 per person. So let's say it's a base of like, I don't know the numbers, but let's just say it's $20 for one person to be in class. But if it's 2 people, it's 25, 3 people, 30, 4 people,
Group
35.
classes.
Yeah, for our group classes. So that's where we have some change in pay depending on the number of people, where Cheryl looks at the payroll, looks at the report in Mind Body for who's been checked in and whatnot, and compares to the payroll, or the invoice that we've received from the trainers. So it's an interesting situation that I don't know a whole lot about.
Yeah, me neither.
I know we've made decisions of how we've decided to pay a set fee, and then it's we gain or lose a little bit depending on how it is. But we kind of set the prices at the single pack price, knowing that very few people are going to pay that.
Yes,
Most people are going to choose. It's kind of like the anchor point. It's the anchor price point. It's there, and it's the most expensive. And certain people are going to do that. Yeah. But for the most part, if you can save. But you also got to pay $770 to get that savings, So someone has to give us $770 to get that 10-pack for that price.
Yes.
And to some people, they're like, I'll give you 87.
Okay.
So it just varies a lot.
Yeah.
Now with your 2 studios, are you teaching much at either of those at this point? Or you mainly have people working underneath you?
Yeah, we it has grown into we're 9 instructors now. So I only teach in the headquarters in SAR. I don't teach in the other branch in Amouage, but we have fully staffed Pilates and fitness instructors there. And in SAR, which is the most busy studio, we have 6 rooms. We just built another one, 7, so we can teach, between mat, group classes, and then we have the privates all have 2 reformers, so we can do duets, and we can also have we have 2 rooms that can open to each other, so we can even have a group of 4.
Got it. So the room transforms a little bit.
It can be even 9.
Like a movable wall type of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like a conference room in the hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool idea. Yeah. Now, do you bring in anyone like body workers, massage therapists, acupuncturists? Do y'all do anything like that?
Yes, we have one of the physiotherapists. She does the MR, the myofascial release with instrument. Yeah. It's a fantastic one. I really like that one.
Yeah.
And we have the other physiotherapist. She does the lymphatic drainage.
Yeah. So we have some specialties in there.
We have a massage room also.
And so that would be a scenario where the PT would be working, not teaching Pilates, but doing their other thing. That they
Some
do.
people choose to have their hour class, half of the session into their MR or their
it's
proper massage, lymphatic drainage, and half Pilates, so they can do that.
That's an option we offer here, where I will have someone on my table for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and then they can go immediately out to work with the trainers for 30 minutes or an hour as well. Sometimes they'll see me for 30, work with my trainer for an hour. Sometimes they see me for an hour, work with my trainer for 30 at the beginning stages, kind of depending on what they're needing and their fatigue levels and whatnot.
Exactly.
And the one I like the most is when they see me for a half hour, so I can just do hands-on for a half hour, and they can go straight out and work with a trainer for a whole hour.
Yeah.
And then that's a real good use of an hour and a half. And then we give them a little discount on that. I charge my normal rate, but I get a discount on the training side. I give them about a $25 discount. So I give them a better price than if they were buying a 10-pack. Because they're paying to see me as well. So we give options where we call that a weekly package, and it can be done today, seeing me, and right after, or it can be done seeing me today and coming in and seeing a trainer tomorrow or the next day.
That's really good.
But again, same thing, like you said, if they don't use it, they lose it. So it's like if you want that $25 savings or $27 savings, whatever it is. Yes, you get it, but you got to pay for it up front, and if you don't use it, you don't get to move it over to next week.
Yes.
And so that's a way that we found it gets people excited. Now, one thing I'll say with me, when people come in to see me and what I'm charging over $200 an hour, when we then say that we're charging $87 for a Pilates session, it looks a lot cheaper than if they came in only seeing $87 as that price. Right. So I always say when people see me first and then move into Pilates, it becomes like, whoa, I'm saving 60% when I go from paying this to this. And then it's like the funnel. I always talk about the funnel is with my place. The top of the funnel is me for PT. Yeah. And it's a little expensive, but for what you get in the value, I don't think it is, but to some it might be. And as we go down the funnel, it's working with my trainer. We just saved them 60%. And as we get down to the bottom of the funnel, we're in our group classes and we just saved them another 50 to 60%. And so when people look at this process of like, oh, it's expensive. Well, getting to that part can be. But when you get into a maintenance program with us, you can come do one class. And that's what
we want them to do.
Exactly.
You want to get them to the maintenance program. That's the goal of every PT and instructor,
And we know they're not going to do their homework at home the way we want them to. No. So if I can get them doing a maintenance program where they're signed up to come in here once a week and take a class, our monthly memberships for once a week, it's only $97. So they're paying less than $25 a class.
And you have fantastic instructors.
Exactly. Now if they pay 3 times a week, that price goes down into like $16, $17 an hour. So they can really, $16, $17 a class. So they can really save a good amount of money by the more they commit. Yes. Now, with your memberships, do you allow people to kind of take a hold and if they're traveling, or those are the people that just buy the packages instead?
So if they bought the packs, the 5 and 10, they depends. Like I think the 10 classes they have 6 months. So I think it's pretty generous.
They can use it.
They can use it 6 months even if they travel. For the monthly package, we can't. This is we're pretty much
Yeah. Got it.
We have to see case by case, but and basically no, we can't.
Got it. Well, this has been great because a lot of the things that I've been thinking about and talking about with some of my staff, she's doing already in her space. Some of the things that she's wanting to do and thinking about, we're already doing. And I knew as we got together and had this conversation, it would be really fun to just chat because we talk so much when we get together and go to dinner. But it's always it's a different chat than what we're doing here, because this is about me and you learning from each other, but sharing it, because there's a lot of people that have these same types of questions. The big thing in the PT world is, how do I get certified? And I'm a PT. Do I have to get certified? Yeah, yeah, you do. Yes. And that's one of the things that's kind of, I understand I'm a PT. I spend a lot of time and money to become a PT, but it doesn't make me, I don't know anything about Pilates. It doesn't make me special. Yeah. I know I have to get over the fact that I'm a PT and I have to learn from someone who's an expert in Pilates. I'm an expert in what I do, but I'm not an expert in Pilates. I wasn't an expert in Pilates until I went through the training, right? And I think that's the big thing in PT's mind, that they're like, well, I've already spent all this money. I'm an expert in this. Yeah. But it's different.
But they complement each other.
100%. 100%. And for me,
it's such a beautiful marriage.
Exactly. And I was somebody that I had no interest in Pilates, and then someone just asked me about it one day. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell it is. And then once I started researching it, I'm like, I think this is something that would help all my patients. Yeah. I didn't do it for me. I did it for my patients. But then when I did it, it changed my posture. Yeah. And once it changed my posture, I'm like, whoa, I can now just teach my client what I've been through, because I now know I no longer sit like this. Yes. Now, every once in a while I'll get like this, but it's uncomfortable.
Yes, exactly.
It's very
That's
uncomfortable.
What my husband, he was such a, head forward and round, it changed his life. Yeah. And we also, as Pilates instructor, we learn so much from the PT. And having a PT in my studio, I think I feel so relaxed and safe. Anybody who comes with the injury or something, I'm like, okay, you go there, and when it's ready, send it back to me.
Totally. And if someone comes to us and they don't need PT, they just start with my trainer. Yes, so it gives them the option of, if they need what I do, that's fine.
And at some point they need it, they have already. That's what happens. Sometimes they, I'll have a lot of athletes and they come and they're like, oh, but I had this injury now. And they're with me. They've been with me for a long time. And I'm like, okay, now you're going to have to go with my physiotherapist for a while. You heal and then you can come back. We had many cases like that. And vice versa. And you graduated. Go take your fitness class now. You're more into Pilates fitness now and maintenance.
Well, it's awesome because as we've had this conversation now, I realize that our facilities are way more similar than I had originally thought. And you're from Brazil, right. And you bring most of your trainers to work with you from Brazil. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. And my main instructors are from Brazil, and we have some wonderful physiotherapists and Pilates instructor from the Philippines. I have one lady from South Africa that she was trained by me, and like most people in Bahrain were trained by me.
Yeah,
we're the only.
You're the only person teaching.
The only teaching.
Yeah.
So we're glad that we opened our studio for that teacher training. There was nothing in the Middle East until that thing. I had to travel. I had to pay so much and invest so much
to be other places.
And people there can just do the training in at my studio.
I love it. Well, I really appreciate your time today. I knew we'd have fun chatting, and I'm glad Cheryl got to hop in at the beginning.
Yes.
Cheryl, you and Cheryl have a great relationship.
Yes.
Now, if someone would like to reach out to you that's watching this podcast, here's this podcast, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Through your website, through Facebook, what email address?
Yes. So we have Equilibrium has a Facebook page. It's called Equilibrium Me.
Okay.
We have also our Instagram. My Instagram is Pat Pilates BH.
Okay.
My professional one. We have the Equilibrium _me Instagram. And you'll find me also in Facebook, Patricia
Kabalawi. All right, I like hearing that. Yeah. And I'll type that up so y'all can read that in the comments. Well, I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
How much longer are you in Austin?
So I'll be in and out of Austin until probably middle of October.
Okay. And so here you are. We see you in Austin a lot. Your business is running over in Bahrain.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I strive to be able to be in another part of the world for months at a time while my business is working. Cheryl and I have worked it out where we're getting about 2 weeks at a time to go out of town and work on this cruise ship where she's teaching Pilates on a cruise ship. And us being able to be gone for 2 weeks while our business is still running, it's a great thing.
Yes.
But we're not at a point where we can be gone for much longer yet.
Yes.
But that's where we're going. That's what we're building towards.
My kids are older.
That's right.
So I'm bringing them to university.
That's exactly right.
You still have kids in school, so you'll get there.
That's right.
It's more of a family, I think, responsibility than you'll be able to do it. You have a great business running. I love this place. I feel home immediately when I came here, and I was very welcome by you. And it turned into a wonderful friendship. We get together, my husband, my kids, his kids.
Have a good time.
It's just wonderful.
Eat, drink, and party.
Truly
Eat, drink, and be merry.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, and thank y'all for hopping on. Andy and David, I know y'all are on commenting. I can't quite read the comments in this far, but I'll interact with them when we're done. Thanks everybody. I'll see y'all in a week with the same format going on, and her and I will actually be doing it digitally online because she'll be out in California. But thank you again.
Thank you.
And if y'all have any comments or questions, put them below, and we'll be happy to get an answer out to you. And y'all have a fantastic day. Bye now.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And if you did, could you do us a favor and leave some love and write us a review? My name is Stephen Dunn. I help physical therapists incorporate Pilates into their physical therapy practice. If you would like more information on how you can incorporate Pilates into your physical therapy practice, then like my Facebook page, Pilates for PTs.